Hello guys and welcome back to the Stacey West YouTube channel. I am Ben and today I'm joined by Adam from the Progress with Unity podcast and we're here to look at the Wigan game at the weekend at the Bank. How you doing, mate? You keeping well?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Just managed to get over the tech issues. I think I'm on device number 72 now or something. this one's finally working, yeah.
It's all right, mate. Don't worry about it. The Stacey West podcast and technical issues go hand in hand. Everyone is well aware of that. But yeah, so we are here to talk Wigan Athletic with you. Obviously, finished 12th in the league last season. There were mitigating circumstances around that with the points deduction, everything else. And I think it's probably fair to say you had a relatively strong finish last year. I think the points deduction would have seen you, without the points deduction, rather, would have seen you in 9th. And then close season happened. And then we've started this season, Wigan with 2 wins in 5 and 3 losses. So it's not really the most ideal start, but is it what you expected coming into the season this time around?
Yeah, well, obviously relating to last season, the points deduction, I think, gave us that sort of impetus at the start. If you look at last season's start, that points deduction had gone after 4 games. We had a bad spell at one point, and then we kind of essentially solidified our League One status by about February, March time. I remember having a chat with Charlie, your colleague, and I think at one point we were in a very similar position in the league, and you went on that amazing run. Unfortunately, we ended it, didn't we? But we kind of, I think, took our foot off the pedal a little bit when we were safe. So maybe that's not a realistic finish. But I think we put so much into staying up. And then I think the last sort of 3 games of the season, certainly the 2 away games at Lincoln and Portsmouth, I think the atmosphere, the occasion, I think it lifted Wigan again in a funny sort of way. You might have been better that day with no fans. Because it was one of our best performances of the season. And going into this season, we've lost a few experienced players, which is a shame. So it's a kind of a little bit like last season, but some of the younger players have got another season under the belt. Sean Maloney's got another season under his belt. He's not an experienced manager. So I would say, out of the games we've played so far, the losses, I think the Reading game, very poor. Charlton, I think we deserved a point. And Birmingham, we know what Birmingham are. I mean, pretty much the biggest spenders outside the Prem at the moment. And we more than matched them in the second half. So really, you've got to look at one really bad performance, the odd bad half, and then obviously, but you always look at your recency bias, and our last win was 4-0 at Bristol Rovers. So I would say pretty much where I would expect us to be. I think we'll be better in the second half of the season. We've still got a few injuries, and it's gonna take a while for the squad to bed in again. And obviously, as the injuries come back, they're like new signings, really. So yeah, I'm relatively pleased. I'm a bit worried after the defeat to Morecambe in the what I keep forgetting.
Mickey Mouse.
Bristol Street Mortars, formerly known as Pizza, formerly known as Paint, or whatever trophy that is. We lost to the bottom of the Football League with a relatively strong side out, which Sean Maloney was furious about. But then we came back with the win at Bristol Rovers. So yeah, I think average start, not bad, not good. Let's see what the next. This is a busy set of fixtures for all teams, isn't it? Now coming up, so let's hear how we start at Lincoln.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, let's talk about the Bristol Rovers game because obviously, like you say, you've got your recency bias there. You've had a bit of a shaky start, and then you've come in and you've absolutely taken Bristol Rovers apart on their own turf. Was the performance as good as the results suggested? I mean, obviously, we've got 2 goals for Joe Hugel, and we've got Thilo Asgard getting one as well. It looked from afar that was about as dominant as you can get. Was that accurate?
Yeah, I think so. I think Bristol Rovers were poor on the day, poorer than I thought, because their starts of the season isn't that. They're still above Wigan, so the starts of the season hasn't been that bad. I was very disappointed with them. I think we basically just put in a very solid away performance and very clinical. I mean, the only kind of things you can compare it to, I guess, are sort of last season's performance, Wigan against Lincoln last season, where I thought we were exceptional. We played beautiful football in the game against a very good side. I think the other day we were just very clinical. I don't know if you've seen the goals, but 3 of them were very scrappy. But Hugel getting 2 scrappy goals, they are the goals that are the making of a striker that can score a lot of goals. Will Keane 2 seasons ago, when we won 3 seasons ago now, time passes quickly, when we won the league, a lot of his goals were from the box, instinctive goals, being in the right place at the right time. So I don't mind them. One of them was very scrappy. Not quite scrappy. I don't know if anyone's seen the Sheffield Wednesday QPR game. Not quite as scrappy as that goal. But yeah, and then Asgard's goal was from a goalkeeping error, though we worked the position very well. And then the 4th goal was obviously class, class goal. Great. Typical left footer do them very good at free kicks. I don't know why the left foot's very good at free kicks, but it is. And he struck it well. I mean, you can tell he's come from a good stock at Liverpool. And Bristol Rovers didn't really offer anything. I think our midfield was much improved. Jensen Weir coming in alongside Matt Smith, who's been consistently one of our best players over the last couple of seasons. I think Jensen Weir fitted in very nicely there. We're getting a sort of a regularised centre-back pairing. And also young Carragher finally coming through. He's had a few loan spells, but I think he's played 3 league games in a row now, and he's looking pretty good. I don't know if he'll reach the heights of his dad, but hopefully he won't be spitting on.
Well, look, I mean,
you might need to call that out.
Let's talk about some of the signings then, because obviously, there's been a few ins. There's obviously been a couple of outs as well, which you've mentioned. But are there any that have really caught your eye so far? You've obviously mentioned, Weir coming in. Anybody else that's in? Because from what I can see, you've got a couple of loans that have come in, as well as a couple that are permanently on the books now. So, how has everybody else kind of settled in so far?
Well, it's typical Wigan. We've had some issues with injuries. Again, it's not the first time we sign players. They're picking up injuries in friendlies, some of them. So a couple that we haven't even seen yet in the squad. The players that we have seen, Rankin has looked okay. I think that's probably the summary of him. Bit of a start like Johnny Smith last season, really. Looked okay. Not set the world on fire just as yet, but Will Aimson at the back. I mean, at one point it looked like we'd have really 3 absolute quality centre halves with Charlie Hughes there as well. Because Jason Kerr, we've got obviously Williams and very experienced centre back. Had a really good season last year as well at this level, so he's been a good signing. Luke Chambers obviously isn't a new signing, but obviously we've re-signed him again on loan. I think that's probably the pivotal signing. I think he's certainly one to look out for at left back. He can also play left centre back. He's been really good in the first few games, as we expected. And obviously, we've just been talking earlier about the goals that he's now got. Those first couple of goals, Hugel, which I think really you've got to say is that now going to lead to a bit more confidence? It's 3 goals now in 2 games, if you include the Bristol Street Mortars. Penalty, 2 scrappy goals, but you don't mind that at all. That's, live and breathe. Many a great striker has made a career on that. So I think we're starting to get there with these signings. But I think the one that I was most excited about was Weir, because I just think that he's kind of, when the move came through too early for him to Brighton, it was desperation on Wigan's part because obviously we were allowed to sell those players because they were youth players to Premier League sides to generate money. So he went to Brighton, and then we had Joe Gelhardt, who moved on, and Alfie Devine, who again, is doing a good job, but he's kind of not found really a home, and he's come back home, and I think this will really help him. And I think him alongside Matt Smith means that a couple of our other midfielders who had good seasons last year, but sometimes they always say with the Premier League, the second season sort of syndrome. I think you can often get that with youth players who step up to the first team. So like Barbara Deco, Scott Smith really did a good job last year when they had to. But maybe have struggled a little bit this season. But it's good now that they're not the mainstay, and they are actually players that we can bring into the starting lineup as and when we need them. So yeah, all in all, I think that's not clearly not all the signings, but this isn't a Wigan Athletic transfer special. So I've just a couple of them you won't see because we've not seen them yet. So
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of the headline news really. And as I said, like Carragher's kind of a new signing. He hadn't made his league debut till this season, so yeah, I think it's looking okay, squad wise. But I would like a couple of the players to come back. We've lost Session, who's a very good player, to injury, so let's hope he's back soon. But he won't be available on Saturday.
Okay. Well, talking of Saturday, I mean, obviously, it's our first home game for a good few weeks due to the international break. We've not seen. I think we've had, we've just not had as many games as we'd like at home. So I'm expecting it to be, a big vocal crowd for the game. And of course, you guys always matches in terms of being as vocal as you can be. So on the pitch, what are we to expect from Wigan? How have you guys been setting up? I can see from what's been there so far, you've kind of had a 4-2-3-1 kind of formation. Do you ever vary it from that? Do you change it up, or is it pretty static? And how do you like to get the ball forward? Is it quick, or is it through through thirds, or how do you like to do it?
Yeah, I think what we have got, and certainly early on in the season, with pretty new back four really. Tickle, the goalkeeper, is very good with his feet. But that playing it out hasn't been like it was last year. And the one thing we don't really have now is that situation where we can play it out. And if we don't want to play through the thirds, we would have had Charlie Hughes, who could then play that ball to the wide area where the wide players in lots of space. I think part of that's been because when we've been putting the ball into midfield, we've been struggling a little bit. And that is everybody will say that is a very hard job to play, to be that midfielder back to goal, to have the confidence to play like that. But I did see in the Bristol Rovers game, things were clicking a bit more. So they played it out from the back, but not sort of that awful football where it's one centre back to the other, to the goalkeeper, to the centre back. And I mean, it does.
It's that clip from The Simpsons, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And if you want to look at the negatives of that style, you can just look at the Bolton goal they conceded last week, which I think you've got to get more benefit. You're always going to make the odd mistake, even Man City do it, but you've got to get more benefit from it than detriment. And I think what we are trying to do as best we can is to try and get the ball into the midfield a bit quicker. I think with Matt Smith and Weir in there, I think that's going to help. And then you try and get then the more creative players on the ball. Asgard is the man who will be sort of floating around there. He sometimes drops deep, but he's also a midfielder that can get on the ball. And also, as well, he's our top scorer at the moment, or joint top scorer. He's got that element of class, but we all think still that there's more to come from him. He is a young player, but he is in his fourth season with us. I mean, he was brought in when we absolutely needed anybody. We had either young players or players who we drafted off the street, basically, because we're in an admin season. And it could have broken him that. It broke a lot of our young players. But he's the one, I think the only one really, from that period of time who has incrementally improved. However, he's still not got that breakthrough season where you'd say absolutely outstanding. I'm hoping that this will be that season. And obviously with Hugo having that bit of confidence up front. And then we've always got good options from the bench. I mean, McManaman, in short bursts, you won't get a better player at this level. Well, maybe Birmingham because they're spending 50 million on players. But I mean, you don't get many players playing in League One who've got a man of the match in an FA Cup final, and he's still got it. He's still got it. He just has it in short bursts, but he's a really good impact sub. If you 0-0 with 20 minutes to go, he'll happily take on the fullback, whether he's on the left or the right. We're certainly not a direct team. We can't be. We could have been a bit more when McGuinness was there last year, but we don't really have that proper number 9. Sean Maloney wasn't able to get that player in. We've got different sorts of strikers now. We've not got the Wyke or the McGuinness anymore. So we do have to play it, try and keep it on the floor and get it wide and get the crosses in. And hopefully the likes of Asgard, Weir, and Smith, when they alternate, can get into that box to make up the numbers and possibly create chances. If you don't get the ball in there, you don't score. I know it's a cliche, but that's what happened the other day. We were getting balls into the box. Delivery from corners was very good. Chambers. So therefore, I think we're not a set piece team. I wouldn't say that, but I think we are dangerous from set pieces, which at League One level will get you a lot of goals. It might not be as pretty as Lincoln. That's more of an established side and kind of know the way to play a bit more. But I don't think it's going to be a game where it's horrible and we sit back and put the bags.
Well, I think it seems like it's going to be two teams that want to play football. In quote the right way, and I think that we saw that against Peterborough at the weekend with us, and it just seemed like a battle, but in the best ways possible. So hopefully, we see a decent game at the weekend. I mean, are we going to be bold enough to get some predictions out there?
I mean, on this, I'm doing my own podcast in 10 minutes. I'm just. Well, I'm more realistic on the opposition's podcast. I'll get stick if I'm negative on the, but there won't be too much of a difference. I don't think this time. I think Lincoln have clearly started well. I don't know. It's weird with bogey teams. I always think because you think to yourself, well, they've not won there. Say, for example, that team's not won there in 10 years. But all those players are different. The manager's different. So you don't really understand why it happens. But obviously, we've had some really good wins there recently. Last couple of seasons we've played there in particular. So I think we've got a chance of getting something. I'd be delighted if come away with a 1-1 draw. I can't see it being a 0-0 personally. I think there's enough attacking flair on the pitch to get at least a goal for. But if it's not a 1-1, it might be a 2-1 either way. That would be. I know I may as well just cover every single score. But if I'm going to stick my neck out and not sit on the fence, I'm going to go for 1-1.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Lincoln win. I think we're proving at the minute that we're able to get decent results, and we can keep it tight if we need to. I think, we've only had one clean sheet so far this season in the league, so I think we can. Stretching it to 2 might be a bit difficult, given some of the bits you've said there, particularly with some of the players you've got that are knocking them in for, well, not quite fun just yet, but we're hoping we will do soon, maybe. But no, great. Look, really appreciate you coming on, Adam. I know we've took a little while to get there with a couple of tech issues, but no, really appreciate it. So, 20 seconds or so, the floor's yours. Let us know where we can find you guys, and if you want to check out some more Wigan stuff.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on the podcast. Always enjoy listening to your podcast as well. Our podcast is the Progress with Unity podcast. If you type it in on Google, you'll find it. You can also see it on follow us on X, Elon Musk, unfortunately.
I'm not calling it X, it's Twitter. It's still Twitter.
Yeah, tweet us if you want. But we're on there, and we'll have an opposition fan view as well, which I need to quickly listen to in ahead of our podcast. I don't even know who we've got on, but there will be a Lincoln fan on there as well. I don't know. We've had your guys on before, so I don't know if it's one of your guys or if it's one of the rivals. Then I don't know what your rivalry is like. Sorry,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
No. Well, it'll be very intriguing for the listeners to find out who it is and what they have to say about your team anyway. But yeah, I can't make it on Saturday. Unfortunately, the early kickoff hasn't really helped matters. But at least we'll be able to watch it on Sky. Although that coverage isn't absolutely fantastic, is it really? But it's better than nothing. Look forward to it. I'm gutted I'm not going. We had our weekend there last year in Lincoln. It was a great weekend. Players stayed next door to us, which was good fun on the Friday night. And I'll say to any Wigan supporters that visit the fans or Lincoln fans who were so welcoming last year. It was nice to have a chat with them all. It's a great environment, one of the best away games to go to, so that's great from your club, and obviously we wish you the best for the season. You never know, we might meet in the playoffs and I'll get me trip to Lincoln or the FA Cup or the Bristol Street Mortars.
I don't know if we'll still be in that by that point.
I don't think we will either, to be honest.
No, look, really appreciate you coming on, Adam. Thank you ever so much, mate. And
all right.
We don't have rivals. We have cohorts. We have comrades.
Yeah, friends of the podcast. Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay. Take care.
See you later, guys. And as always,
bye.
Up the Imps.
Lincoln City are the team, the Ravens is their name. Stinsel bankers their home ground, and football is their game. So come and cheer them on, you mad, support them all the way. Oh, 'tis our delight for the red and white, the Imps are here to stay. Oh,